Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Performance E-Streaming. It is Fun Day. It is Wednesday. That means it's Funder time here. It's season number 2 of the year. We are at race number 3 here at Sonoma Raceway. I'm, as ever, Mr. Carl Wilkinson with you. Joining me up here in the booth, I have Maddie Hunter. How are you going, Matt?
Very good tonight, Carl. Thank you. Yep, good to be here. And what is effectively our unofficial sort of anniversary race weekend.
Absolutely. It's been a long time since we first did that first Thunder broadcast here at Sonoma, where we were both panicking, not knowing what we were doing, and we still don't know what we're doing all these years later.
Nah, 5 years later and nothing's changed really. We still don't know what the hell we're doing. Still chaos.
Absolutely. What we love to see. So we decided we'd do something a little bit different tonight for the full celebration, and that's going to be a live lap of the track. So what we will do is we will jump on board with myself and we're just going to do the out lap, so I don't actually set a proper qualifying lap, but let us talk you through a full lap here at Sonoma. It's going to be very warm today as well. That's going to affect things. We'll talk about that in a little bit of time as well. So once we've got this lap over and done with, we'll go through all the rest of the details for tonight's race. So let's start by just pulling out of the pit lane here. So pit lane is a tricky one here at Sonoma. It's very curved. It's very easy to get loose. The exit comes out here right in the way of the corner. So you've got to watch out for people entering turn 1, because they will very easily clip you. Up to turn number 2, very high, very hilly section of the track. You go over a big crest, up into second gear, third gear, down towards turn number 4, dip down, get the lines right, over the crest of turn 4 here, and you've got to get the exit just right. You want to catch a little bit of curb, but not too much. It's very easy to run wide. Down towards the next section, turn number 5 we come. This section, you want to get a little bit there, take a little bit of the exit as well. Watch out for the wall. You'll see people hitting that quite quickly. Turn number 6, a very tight right hand. You want to take as much entry as you can to try and get through this corner smoothly and get onto the power. Moving up into 3rd to 4th gear through here. This twisty section is very hard. If you catch too much curb here, the car will really get unsettled, and all through these S's it's going to start heating up those tyres, making it very difficult to run indeed. We're coming up towards turn number 9 now, and finally turn 10. This right-hander taking in about 3rd gear. You want to just get through here smoothly. It's very easy to run wide, and those tyre barriers will catch you out. Down towards turn 11, the tight right-hand hairpin. Down into 1st gear, try not to stack it too much there. You've got to get it right on the right point there, onto the straight. The straight is not that straight. Left-hander into left-hander. Watch out because it gets very narrow here. The first corner comes up once again, and as I said, watch the pit exit because it's very easy for things to go wrong. And that is a very slow lap of Sonoma, just to give you a bit of an idea of what we are looking at tonight.
It's a pretty good lap there, Carl.
It's not the fastest lap in the world, but it's talking you around. So I'm just going to quickly pack up my sim. While I do that, we will take a look at some of the other qualifiers.
What we'll do is we'll just jump in with reigning season champion Jason Martin. Just have a watch of his lap here. He's just coming up to start coming through the S's. Check up some information as well that shows our qualifying order, or our top 10 qualifiers so far. Good to see Jason Martin coming out of the X's, looking to come down to the hairpin, staying right out nice and high, coming back in.
I might need my eyes in the common box, Matt. If I could quickly get that one switched on, please.
Oh yeah, might help. I knew there was one thing I was forgetting.
Yeah, it's the way, isn't it? You just go to the track and thinking, there's something I'm missing here.
You always bother to just, one thing I'm missing, what is it? Yeah, that's what it was. So Carl can now see what we're broadcasting out on the screen for overlays. And
Makes it a lot easier. So Jason Martin here, he's going to be hoping for a good run tonight. We've seen Jason improving on the road courses. It's not his favourite kind of racing, but he has been doing a heap better than he was in the olden days. And it's great to see Jason Martin on form because, well, he's a very fast driver and, well, reigning champion, as you said, Matt.
Indeed. Do you suffer sometimes from deja vu, Carl?
Occasionally, yes.
Yeah, because I could swear that I'm looking at the qualifying order so far, and I see that Andrew Dyson in first and Ryan Jones in second. Like, I'm just getting major deja vu about that.
I know, it's almost like it's happened before. It's good to see Ryan back in his traditional place of P2. We don't want him to turn too far up the grid because that could be dangerous.
Indeed. If he finishes second to Dyson tonight, that'll be interesting. As frustration goes.
I imagine he will be ecstatic about that. We've seen in the past how happy he is finishing second.
So it looks like we've just kicked over into race session almost. No, still just under 2 minutes to go, so you got plenty of time. So
That's
while
it.
we're waiting for you to get it all set up, we'll just go for the conditions here. So we can see that the wind direction, southwest, 14 kilometre an hour wind. Air temperature is 25 degrees, and our track temperature is 36 degrees. So fairly warm track, but not as bad as it could be if it was in the 40s. As you can see, the track has always got brown ground on it, or brown grass. I know some people have asked for the grass to be green sometimes.
Yeah, it's a bit of a desolate looking place, Sonoma. It's never the most friendly place looking, but it does bring some good racing when it works. Just looking at the championship quickly, and it is pretty tight at the top between Dyson and Jones. 13 points between Andrew Dyson and Ryan Jones. Dyson in the lead, of course. Ryan Jones in his second spot. Josh Micklemore 14 points off the leader. 15 points down to Ruben Phelps and Luke Traher rounding out the top 5. 16 points off the leader. So interesting little run of the championship there because well, it's going to be fascinating to see how this one runs out. Hamish Gallagher not here tonight, I don't think. So he's going to be missing this one for points, and that could be crucial in his championship run as he's not had the best start to this season. Jason Martin as well, he's not had the best start to his championship defence, getting hit pretty hard. He's down in 12th position at the moment, so he's going to be wanting to get some good points here tonight at Sonoma.
Yeah, if you're looking for just a nice solid points there, I think just to get it back on the good running. I think everyone's pretty resigned to the fact that unless Dyson makes a real bad mistake and takes himself out of contention, he is a strong favourite to win this one. So yeah, it's sort of a battle for the minor, not for the minor places, but all the places from second onwards, sort of thing.
That's it. It's times like this we need Dave Douglas out there, the Sonoma King, just to try and take it to Dyson a little bit.
Indeed.
So they're about to line up. So let's run through the starting grid for this race number 3 of season 2 of the Thunder Championship 2023. It's Andrew Dyson on pole position with Ryan Jones on his outside. Row number 2 sees Lachlan Urquio next to Jai Schultz. Row number 3, Andy Barber and Jason Martin. 4th row has got Josh Micklemore and Darren McKenzie. Watch out for McKenzie. He's been quick on the road courses recently. Aidan Schultz lines up next to Luke Crum on the 5th row. Row number 6 sees Norman Clark next to Matty Ray. Tristan Koch and Luke Georgeson make up our row number 7. Ruben Phelps with admin, Mr. Sean Doki, up in row number 8. Gary Wellman and Brad Fenley make up a 9th row. And the non-qualifiers, Christopher Tomlin and Michael Campbell with Kobe Jordan. 21 runners out there tonight. So hopefully we're going to see some good racing out here tonight. And well, who knows who's gonna get the victory? We never know in a race, but as you said, Matt, it's very probable it's going to be Andrew Dyson.
Highly likely, provided he doesn't make a mistake and take himself out of contention. But so yeah, the real battle is probably for second spot. And we're not sure about pit stop strategy. We think there might be a possibility that drivers can make it to the end on one tank of fuel, but of course tyres are probably going to be pretty hot and pretty greasy, and so I think most people will probably, the smart thing to do would just be split the 40 laps in two. So come and pit it probably around end of lap 19 or lap 20ish and get a fresh set of tyres and enough fuel to finish the race.
That is it. And look, did some practice running just before, and yeah, you can make it to the end on field, but the tyres are going to be the real hard thing to get there. The tyre wear is not super severe, but the temperature is going to be the key factor. It's going to be thermal degradation that's going to cause most problems out there tonight. So keep an eye on those drivers that can keep those tyres alive. And well, unfortunately for the rest of the field, one of those men is the man in the 41. It's Andrew Dyson. But we've seen some really good runs on the road in the Thunder. Who can forget last season, I should say, at COTA, one of the best races we've had the pleasure of calling here on Performance E-Streaming. So it's going to be interesting to see how that one goes as they are coming up to the start-finish line. And we will be going to green flag racing here at Sonoma for round number 3 of the Thunder Series. It's going to be Dyson and Jones leading off. Watch out for this first corner, this first bit of straight. Very easy to have a mistake here, very easy to see an accident on this first run. Cold tyres, cold brakes, and away we go. As Jones makes a leap up into first place already. He makes the leap on Dyson in this early stage. That could be crucial. Everybody looks to have made it through the first corner relatively unscathed. Good news for everybody there. They've managed to make it through. Meanwhile, up the front, as all around goes Norman Clark.
Jason Martin.
Jason Martin.
Yeah.
He just saved that one. As Lachlan Oakware was looking to make a move on at Dyson up the front of the field, but we've got some racing going on.
We have. Ryan Jones got a really good start there on that outside line. So yeah, he's taken that over, and let's see how long he can hold Dyson off, hopefully.
That is it, and of course, new for this season of the Thunder, there are the short track, the super speedway, and of course the road courses, little tips you can get next to your name, and drivers will be keen to try and get a road course, the road course wins this year, but heading off to Road America next time. But could be a very crucial little thing and a nice little bonus for those drivers. Jason Martin's dropped down to 13th position just behind Norman Clark as you see them coming down towards turn 11 for the first time in the race, and side by side a couple of them go trying to make the move. Michael Campbell looking to get a run but doesn't quite make it. Meanwhile up the front it is Ryan Jones still in the lead as they battle it out here at Sonoma.
So it was Jason Martin, I believe, who had a little bit of an issue, got loose on turn 4 and just dropped a few spots. I don't know if he made any contact with anybody, but yeah, he might have got away with it in terms of damage, but he dropped a number of spots.
Yeah, I might have a little bit of a look-see at that one, because I think there might have been a tiny bit of contact between Martin and Jai Schultz. I think Martin just had to get on the brakes very heavily as Jai just braked a little bit earlier than he was expecting, and that caused the back end to step out as Urquio gets a huge amount of curb as they head into the S's. He keeps the car pointing in the right direction, luckily, but you've got to be so cautious of this section. If you catch too much curb, the car will go flying.
Well, they've all done a really good job so far. They're all still circulating around.
Looks like we may have lost Aiden Schultz, unfortunately. I don't think he make it through, so unfortunately one car is out already, but so far everybody else doing a good job of moving along. Battle between Doki and Campbell at the moment, those two battling it out side by side as Sean's just lose a couple of positions in the American Honey Wild Turkey car and just falls back behind Kobe Jordan, who's having a stormer of a start in the inside lane productions car. He's up 3 positions with Michael Campbell and Christopher Tomlin. Gary Wellman working his way up nicely too in the mean green Sim Boys entry. A bit further up the field though, side by side action between Urquio and Andy Barber. Those guys racing very hard, and Jai Schultz now trying to make the move. going to try around the outside here, and he just squeezes it through there as Andy Barber just has to lift off to make sure he gets through the S's, battling it out with D-Mac, Darren McKenzie now.
Bit of congestion there, and looks like Micklemore's going to take advantage of that as well. Oh, Matty Ray, bit of contact between Barber and Matty Ray there.
It's very easy to make a little bit of contact here, just have a little touch. There's a little bit of touch up the front of the field as they come through turn number 11. Dyson just gave Ryan Jones a little bit of a touch-up, just giving him a pinch on the bum, and just caused the rear end to step out a little bit, but Jones doing a great job of keeping that car in first position.
He is indeed, yeah. Not easy being stalked there with Dyson right behind him.
Michael Campbell just had a huge moment coming off 11. He put his foot down on the power too early, lit up the rears and went spearing off onto the infield. Luckily though, no damage on that car, just a bit of a bruise to the old ego.
Oh yeah, put the accelerator down too quickly. The tyres still turned.
And I'd say with that one, he was just, he dropped it down into first gear, and you've got to be so cautious of that corner. Dropping it down first is the fast way round, but it's also the way that you will absolutely light up the rear tyres. Sometimes it's better to sit in second gear there, and you're going to get less wheel spin coming off of that corner.
Indeed. And I was just thinking about poor old Andy Barber there. He got sort of, the door was opened up by Urquio, and then unfortunately Andy just wasn't able to recover, and everybody else seized the opportunity to pass him as well. And got him shuffled back a number of positions.
It's very close down there. Josh Schultz just managing to open a little bit of a gap ahead of Darren McKenzie. The leaders have pulled out a 3-second lead though, and Dyson is starting to go all over the back of Jones, starting to say, look, I'm here, I am going to pass you at some stage. And Ryan Jones is saying, well, you can try, mate. I am going to do my best to defend here. Ryan Jones will be defending with all his might, but it's not the easiest thing to do to defend against Dyson. He is very, very quick on the old road courses, but it doesn't mean he's infallible. So you can absolutely take it to him, and it's good to see drivers having that confidence to take it to Dyson and absolutely keep themselves in front of him.
Exactly. I mean, we all know he's very strong on the road courses, and a lot of guys will just move over and let him go. So it's really good to see Jones holding him up there and doing his best to keep in front. But you sort of get the feeling that Dyson might be just sort of sitting there trying to pressure Jones into making a mistake, and then when he makes that mistake, he'll be there to jump on it and take advantage of it.
So he's going to try his best on that one. Just looking down, Christopher Tomlin, he's had a bit of a spill on the right front of the car coming across the start-finish line a few laps back, damaged the right front of that car, and obviously the aerodynamics not too much of an issue here, but you've got to be careful of damaging the suspension. Meanwhile, Darren McKenzie has shown he's got some paces, just sets the fastest lap of a 1:18.4. So he's starting to get some speed in that car as those tyres have heated up, and he's getting his confidence building in this race as it goes along in the 0-2. And well, we know how good Darren McKenzie can be on these road courses. And a little bit of a slower start, but he's got some good pace later in the races. Dyson tries to make a bit of a move on Jones coming up towards turn number 6. Doesn't quite make it past, but he is starting to attack, starting to use some probing attacks on Jones, trying to just catch him out in the mirror, trying to force his hand, trying to make him go a little bit longer through the corner to defend. But Jones is not taking the bait at the moment. So coming up to lap 7 here. 33 laps will be remaining here tonight at Sonoma, as we are in the Thunder for 2023 season number 2 of the championship. We've got one more season to go as Dyson just gives the wall a little bit of a rub there. Very easy to do across the line there because it's just so tight through that section. You can see just on the other side of it, there's actually a drag racing strip there.
Yeah, Dyson's picked up a bit of damage from that wall hit as well. There's a bit of a crinkle to that right front mudguard, so As I say, it shouldn't affect any aero issues, though.
No, that's it. I mean, it's not too much of a crinkle, but it is definitely there. There's that little scrape, and didn't get any penalties from it. He didn't get any strikes or anything like that, so it obviously wasn't too hard. But you've got to be careful of doing that because we've seen in the past sometimes if you keep on rubbing that side of the car, eventually it's going to go wrong and things will cause problems. Luke Crum having a good run in P6 at the moment. We've seen Luke having some good results recently, and he's currently up there. He's moved up 4 positions. As up the front, though, they're making a move for the lead. Down into turn 11, Dyson goes deep on the brakes, gets down the outside of Ryan Jones and takes the lead of the race. Ryan Jones getting back into P2.
I might just see if we can go back and have a look at that.
So Jones just on the exit of the corner went a little bit wide, caught the dust just behind that building, and that slowed his run down towards that final corner, and that was enough for Dyson to take advantage of it and put Ryan Jones back into P2.
Did a nice job, nice down on the inside there, and he sort of covered as well for the crossover from Jones. It wasn't quite enough room for the car to sort of fit in there to do a crossover.
That's it. Very nice move indeed. And that's put Ryan back into his favoured position of second, of course, Ryan Jones. The ladies love him because he always comes second. But he is currently sitting there in a fairly good spot for his championship.
Yep, that's all right. Always finishes second. But most people would be happy finishing second, having a good run there, but not Ryan. And especially not finishing second to Dyson, which he's finished a number of times second to Dyson, so he's not happy about it. But he's on track to do it again tonight, unfortunately.
Very much so. And look, he's currently sitting second in the championship as well, so he definitely wants to try and get some finishes just ahead of Dyson, because that's going to be crucial as Dyson just absolutely laps the fastest lap time, a 1:18.1. A good 3/10 faster than the previous fastest lap, and now we're seeing the pace of that TPR car come alive.
Yeah, I got to think, he was sort of sitting there behind Jones. He was not wanting to put, risk of hitting the car, but just wanting to put a bit of mental pressure on him and force Jones into a mistake, and then, which is exactly what happened, and then take advantage of it when he could.
That's it, and it was the smallest of errors as well. It wasn't like a big mistake. It was just catching a little bit of dust on the exit of a corner, but that's all it takes for that 41 to make a bit of a pounce. Looking down the field a little bit, there's a good little battle starting to heat up between Micklemore, Raymond and Barber. Andy Barber's starting to recover a little bit after he got just shuffled out a little bit in the earlier stages, and he's closing the gap a little bit. These three racing very well. Matty Ray, not a huge road course specialist, but he's having a good run here, up 4 positions, and he's currently sitting on the tail of Josh Micklemore, another driver that's he's not the road course ace, but he has definitely got some good pace on the road courses. He's got good pace wherever you put Josh Micklemore, but you can just start to see who's absolutely nailing the road courses and who's merely good and who is excellent. That's the difference on a place like this, and these boys are not slow at all, but you get the odd person that absolutely flies as Matty Ray just gets a little bit loose on the exit there.
Yeah. Micklemore's just been thinking about that. Micklemore's been a bit quiet so far this season. Sort of, maybe the track's not to his liking a little bit, but he's always solid. But yeah, be interesting to see if he can sort of turn that around a little bit and get more up near the front as the season goes on.
So he's currently sitting third in the championship, so he's doing his usual Micklemore things, but he's not had a podium yet this season.
Feels like he's just been quiet and unassuming and just clocking up the points really, which is good way of doing it.
Absolutely, it's a smart move sometimes just to sit back there and get those points in and not make too much of a presence as Andy Barber tries to make a move down the inside of Raymond there. They're catching up to Luke Crum now and Lachlan Upgo. So this battle is really starting to look good. I think there might be a tiny bit of damage on the front of Josh Micklemore's car. Just a little bit of a nerf on the back of that car. I think that may have come earlier in the race with Jason Martin. I think those two just made the lightest of contact when we saw Jason just spinning the car after getting heavily on the brakes.
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of contact there.
So this is at the moment, and everything else is going along at a fair pace, and
Barber's having a bit of a lunch.
He's in an awkward position there. He's going to get the move done on Maddie Ray, though. Very nicely done. The S's are not a place where you want to be side by side. He managed to make the move just in the nick of time there. Very nicely driven by Andy Barber.
Yeah, nice move.
So everybody still running who started the race. Michael Campbell's currently tailing the field. He's trying to catch up to Brad Fenley. They've got a fairly decent gap to each other. Brad Fenley sitting down in 19th spot just behind Sean Decay. Sean is moving along at a fair rate of knots and just keeping himself in contention inside the top 20, just behind Tristan Koch at the moment in 17th spot. Further up the field, we have Kobe Jordan having a good run, and he's going to hope for a solid result here tonight in the Inside Lane Productions car. Trying to chase down Christopher Tomlin, who's got that little bit of damage on the right front. Of course, teammates there. They're catching up to Gary Wellman. You can see there on the screen right now, the Sim Boys entry, Gary Wellman, who's been having a stellar 2023. Gary Wellman has improved leaps and bounds, you've got to say, and he was not slow to begin with, but he's been having some really good races recently.
Yeah, it's been really, really good to see. Of course, he's one of our other series that we broadcast, the V8 series on Sunday nights. Gary's actually won the last 3 races in a row there, so he's definitely got a good bit of form going on at the moment.
Absolutely, and even in the trucks, and I've seen in the trucks recently, Gary Wellman's been absolutely on form. I remember racing him back at Hickory a few weeks back. He was absolutely keen to go 3 wide on that very, very small track. But rather than going down the inside, it was quite a risky move. He would go down the middle of people and make it work perfectly. And it really was a very, very nice drive from Wellman. And he's been sort of really doing some good jobs. Nice to see, but he doesn't quite make it through that corner. Going to be a drag race between himself and Tomlin now. On to the drag strip, they're coming. Gary Wellman very tight inside line. He's going to have to lift off for that one. You can see the fact the car's unsettled, but he just manages to keep ahead of Christopher Tomlin there. This battle is heating up nicely.
It is, and I think we can see Gary's really struggling with tyres there. I think he's probably got those tyres quite heated up a bit.
Yeah, those rears are starting to fall off on a lot of people. I reckon they are starting to get very, very hot indeed. Of course, these cars, 700 odd horsepower going through the rear wheels, and that will absolutely burn up those rear tyres on a road course like this, where you are putting your foot down out of these corners. Traction is a key thing for the wheels to work, and they're not quite doing what they need the drivers to do at the moment. So just running through the rest of the order, it's Luke Georgeson up in P13 at the moment for the Area 51 car, having a solid run, just keeping himself out of trouble, sitting a bit in no man's land. He's trying to chase down Jason Martin, who has got a very mangled front end to his Mitch Motorsport 21, but he is going to be no slouch. Hopefully there's not much damage on that car, because if there's cooling damage, that could really start to hurt the number 21 and reigning champion here at Thunder. He's just behind Norman Clark at the moment. Storm and Norman coming along. Watch for Norman later in the race. He is very good on road courses, but he's going to be just quietly getting along in the early stages, probably trying to keep those tyres nice and alive for the latter stages of the stint. They're just behind Ruben Phelps at the moment, the Flying Kiwi in the 06 Mobile Braking Mechanical SRM car, who's chasing down his teammate Maddie Ray in 9th position. And as we get inside the top 10, it starts to get very close indeed. Andy Barber sitting in 8th position, having a good recovery after getting caught out a little bit in the early stages, starting to make hay while the sun shines and move up a few positions. He's chasing down Josh Micklemore in 7th spot. Josh started there and he's currently sitting in that position. Luke Crum, one of the biggest movers of the race, up 4 spots in the 030 inside lane car, up in 6th at the moment, sitting behind Lachlan Urquio, who is just chugging along as Darren McKenzie decides it's time to pit on lap 15. That's earlier than we sort of expected. So he's got quite a bit of damage on the right front, on the left front of that car. I think he's had a bit of a moment.
See if we can find.
So I reckon Darren's had something's happened to him somewhere along the line, but maybe that's causing that car to use up its tyres a little bit quicker than some of the rest.
Yeah. Possibly he might be just decided that it's, he can make it to the end now easily with this, so he might be just deciding to go long in the second stint. That seems pretty weird, yeah. I'm just seeing an incident for Ryan Jones. I'm going to have a look and see what that is. Might be just a cutting off track. Doesn't look to be any issue with it here.
Yeah, he's not lost any positions or too much time, so I imagine it's just...
Oh, there it is, yep.
There it is.
Just an off track there.
Yeah, so a bit of a moment there for Ryan Jones. As Annie Barber decides to pull it down into pit lane as well. So some people try and pull the undercut here to take advantage of some fresh tyres, I think.
I think so too, yeah. Because
Jason Martin.
I think Andy and Darren will be teammates, I think, both 7-star eSport cars. So this might be a bit of a deliberate tactic from them that they're going to put here and run, 25 laps to the end. Jason Martin's in as well.
Yeah, so a few people deciding to take that little bit of a risk and see what they can do with this race. So we'll see how that one goes. That's giving Jai Schultz a little bit of breathing room, up in 3rd position at the moment. Jai having a solid run. He's 10 seconds off the lead, trying to close the gap to Ryan Jones. He'll see what he can do in this stint and see if he can actually get a bit of a jump on them. But those drivers coming out of pit lane now, we'll sort of have to see what's going on with these stops and see how people go. As Jai gets really off track there, that's going to cost him some serious lap time. And you get those tyres dirty as well, and it takes a few corners just to get it back up to speed.
You do really want to be on that as far over on that side of the track as you can for that corner, but not that far, not far enough where you're going to be kicking up dust.
No, that's it. You've got to be really, really cautious of the dust here. It is not fun to play around with Sonoma, of course. As we're up in the mountains here, of course, Sonoma Raceway up in, I'm trying to think where it is now. It's California, isn't it?
That's right, yep.
Yeah. Just up in the mountains of California, of course, very hot part of the United States, and it gets very dusty, very, very dry in this part of the world as well. So, as you can see there, with the dirt and things like that. But it would be nice to see some nice green grass around here occasionally. It would be a very cool feature if they added to iRacing with the time of the year, having things in the right aridness, having it dry in the summer and then nice and green in the spring and the winter.
Yeah, well, with all the rain that California's had recently this year, I've seen some of the pictures of Sonoma, and it was very, very green, and someone was sort of saying that, they wish iRacing would sort of update it to show the green grass as well sometimes. But Brett Campbell also made a note in the chat as well that this is it was formerly known as Sears Point Raceway.
Yeah.
And it was also the track of Dick Johnson's infamous Winston Cup tyre barrier parking.
Yeah, see, I know it as Sears Point originally. It's one of those things. It's like a few tracks that I have to really watch my language on, because I often call it the wrong places. Micklemore's decided to pull it into pit lane now as well. This is probably closer to where we were expecting people to pull it in. So we should start seeing a few more people coming down the lane in about 2 to 4 laps time. It's going to be interesting to see where he comes out here, because there were a few people deciding to pull it in early, and Andy Barber has made up some spots. So
as has Michael,
he's
as
come out
Martin
just
as well.
behind Martin.
Yeah.
So that just shows how much time is lost on those old tyres.
Yeah, the undercut certainly worked there. That's about a couple of seconds, I would say, a lap at the moment. On the leaders anyway.
Yeah, it's a good... they've made up about 10 seconds there, Jason Martin, so he's made up a good amount of time. But now, of course, there is the peril of having those older tyres. Jason Martin is on tyres that have done about 2.5 laps, 3 laps, whereas Josh Mickelmore is on some nice fresh boots. Of course, I'll take a lap to just get up to temperature. You've got to be so careful on the exit here, because tyres, you know, if they're not up to temperature, they're very, very hard. They don't do what you need them to do. So you've got to get them up to temperature before you can start pushing. As you see, Sean just getting out the way of those 2 cars on fresh boots. So let's see who decides to come down the lane next. I wonder if anybody is going to try and stick it out there for the whole race on the same set of boots as well. I wouldn't be surprised to see somebody like Norman Clark try that tactic, maybe even Andrew Dyson, as there's been a move here as the battle continues between Wellman and Tomlin side by side once more. They've got Darren McKenzie right up there with him. Of course, Darren McKenzie on some fresh boots as Wellman goes wide, 3 wide here at Sonoma, down towards turn number 6. Side by side they go, and Darren McKenzie makes the move on Tomlin. He just about squeezes it through there. Tomlin makes the move on Wellman, and all of a sudden Wellman's dropped 2 spots, and that was a nice little battle indeed. Jones, Schultz, Crum all in pit lane.
Yeah, I thought that would be quite interesting to watch that one, because McKenzie was on fresh tyres and compared to Tomlin and Wellman, so he would have been pretty desperate, or pretty urgent, I mean, to sort of get past so he can use those tyres. Oh, Tomlin very deep under brakes. I thought he was going to lock him up and accidentally hit him, but no, he's done a good job there.
Ryan Jones just exiting pit lane now. He's just in front of Darren McKenzie. Not much between them. And you see Darren McKenzie's got out in front of Jai Schultz here. So those fresh boots really making a big difference, getting up the track a lot sooner. But that, of course, means that the tyres will drop off a little bit quicker too. So watch out for Jai Schultz. He's going to be battling out with Darren McKenzie in the near future as well. So we've got some good fights on track. Of course, we've got lots of cars on different strategies now. They're all on different tyres, all on different lifespans. And this is where the racing can get very, very tight indeed, and where mistakes can absolutely come out as well.
And we still have a bit of a mixture of cars as well. Luke Georgeson is in 7th in here. He's in the middle of a couple of cars that have got fresh tyres. So, yeah, look for the fresh tyre cars to catch him pretty quickly, and then try and get past him as well, not wasting any time.
Manny Ray pulling it into pit lane now as well. Of course, pit entry and exit is crucial here. A lot of time can be made up or lost in pit lane, and if you make a mistake and need to serve a drive-through or something like that, it's effectively race over as well. But we are seeing some good battles out on track. As you see, Luke Georgeson there's got Darren McKenzie all over the back of him. McKenzie's closing the gap to Ryan Jones as well. So that gap has shrunk an enormous amount as McKenzie tries to go up the inside up through turn number 2. Makes the move there, is going to get through and starts chasing down Ryan Jones just ahead of him. Just about 2 seconds between the 2 cars now, as those fresh tyres really helped off, and a little bit of clean air running as well made them catch a fair amount of time. And you see Jai Schultz, he made up a bit of time, but he lost positions there, and a little bit of contact as they're side by side. And Georgeson, he does not need to let that position go. He's racing for a position right here, so he does not have to just sit back and go, look, come through, mate. They are absolutely racing, and this is costing Jai a huge amount of time as he's come out in this traffic. Lachlan Oakbear pulling it into pit lane.
Yeah, we just saw Jai. He got a little bit too much curve there, and that sort of bumped him into, or sent him into Georgeson's bit of contact. And Georgeson's rightly so battling for positions here, so he's not going to make it a very. He's not going to roll over. We should see those fresh tyres take advantage of it soon. Georgeson has a little bit of a lock-up, yeah.
As this is where those fresh tyres will come out as Georgeson got a little bit loose, and then a little bit of contact sent the Area 51 car around.
Yeah, I think Georgeson just got loose off the corner there, putting the power down, and unfortunately that sent him across the track. If we look here.
Yeah. Watch the replay here, and you see he gets loose on the exit, and unfortunately Jai Schultz were nowhere to go, nothing he could do in a situation like that, and it just really unsettled the 274 car. Meanwhile, Lachlan Adcock has come out side by side with Jason Martin. That just shows how much time those fresh tyres have made up. But I imagine they're going to start plateauing as well. So this, I think, is going to be a crucial part, is how long will it take for those tyres to start plateauing and become very similar to the pace of the cars up ahead. They're currently in about, just looking at Darren McKenzie, he's about 19.6 last lap around. So his time's dropped off by a good second already on those tyres. He's 7 laps into this stint. So when is it going to start plateauing and become equal to those leaders' paces, I wonder, because we've got Dyson and Clark currently up there in first and second. And, well, if those tyres get to a point where they're not really that much faster than the guys in front of them, then if those drivers in front can keep those tyres alive, they could be in for a really good result here tonight.
It could be, yeah. I see Sean's lost the front of his car as well.
Oh, yes, he has.
Sure.
And that happened on lap 21. Oh, sorry, lap 20. No, lap 21 it was.
I think I've got it. Yep. I'll have a look and try and work out what's going on there.
So
he's got the nose there.
Yep. So coming up through here, he's going to come down to the next section of corners. So keep on this car because it happens in turn number 5. I'm pretty sure. He's just going to take too much exit curb. So down towards this section here, keeps on coming on, and then that corner where I said you just take a little bit of exit curb, you've got to be so careful. He took a bit too much, and bang, straight into the wall.
Yeah.
Very easy for that to happen, unfortunately. You've got to be so careful of this track. It's going to bite you. It's just a matter of when, not if.
Going back to that Georgeson contact or spin, that was very, very similar to what we saw happen to Campbell as well. Sort of that side of the track, putting the power down too quickly and sort of getting loose there. So it didn't look like there was anything sort of sinister about it or deliberate. It was just unfortunate that he got wheel spin and spun off the nose of Jai there, unfortunately.
Might want to go back and look at Lachlan Adcock and Luke Crum. Those two have made contact with each other as well. Let's drop Lachlan Adcock down a whole heap of positions. Sorry, it wasn't Crum, it was Tomlin. Sorry. As Luke Crum has made the position up on it. So watching here, they're side by side battling it out. And coming down to turn number 6 is where the incident happened. So you see they're fighting very hard up until this point. Tomlin, of course, on old tyres. Urquio on some fresh boots. And 2 into 1 here. Tomlin just trying to go around that outside line. Urquio just takes a bit too much curb. Gets a little bit of a clip. And next corner is where it's going to happen. So watch out for the blue and white car and the blue and orange car here. Down the inside goes Urquio, tries to make it down the inside. Crum takes a wider entry to the corner. They both make contact. Tomlin keeps it pointing in the right direction, but Urquio gets spun around.
Yeah, and Urquio lit those rear tyres up as well, so that's going to hurt long term as well. A little bit of extra heat on those.
That's it. It's almost like a double penalty, that one, because that spin will absolutely bake those tyres off and they will drop off and not want to work again. The gap is closing between Clark and Jones. Norman Clark doing a good job though. He's keeping that car in the mid 20s, I should say. So 120.6 last time round, same pace as the leader. So Norman Clark and Andrew Dyson setting a very similar pace at the moment. Ryan Jones, he's about 18.8, but his pace is starting to drop off. Those guys that came in for the tyres, it's 10 laps in now, and the times are starting to plateau a little bit.
Georgeson's had another issue there, has he?
Back at this one.
I think Georgeson's had a bit of network issues there, so he decided just to pull it off the road until it settled down a bit.
There's some heavy racing going on between Tomlin and Ruben Phelps as well. Those two getting very close to each other, and a bit of contact between Phelps and Tomlin as well. So Tomlin's getting a rough ride of it at the moment, getting a fair few licks out there. His car is looking a little bit worse for wear, unfortunately.
Yeah, be interesting to see here when the 42 decides to make a move on him. He probably won't be as kind as what he normally would be. He probably feels aggrieved about the last incident.
Exactly. It's the trouble of sitting behind the wheel is you don't see those replays and get an idea of what actually happened. Oko getting a good run out the corner though into this twisty section up towards turn number 4. They come side by side, a little bit of contact, but Oko makes it through, and but luckily for Tomlin, not too much damage there. Matty Ray's now on his tail with Brad Fenley.
I just had a thought that we haven't really covered much of Dyson. Haven't shown Dyson on the camera very much because he's just sort of gapped the field. So
just jumping back a little bit, Ryan Jones has made the move up into P2. Late lunge from Ryan Jones, just catching Clark off a little bit as he brakes a little bit late into that final corner, and it gave Jones the speed out of that turn to make it past the veteran from South Africa.
I don't think Norman wanted to fight that much too badly. I think Norman was quite happy just to concede the position to Jones, knowing that he had Fisher tyres. Norman's playing a long game. I think Norman's going for the no stopper, and at this stage, you'd have to say that's, you know, he's odds on for a good finish from it.
Yeah, he's sitting in a fairly good spot, as I said, pace-wise. He's setting sort of fairly good pace still. He's in the 21s. Darren McKenzie's next up down the line, about 6 seconds behind him, and you know, it's sitting in a good spot for Norman with 13 laps to go. He could well be on for a top 3 finish here, but he's going to have to defend a little bit once Darren McKenzie closes that gap. But at the moment, last lap was a little bit slower, but general lap times are not. I reckon McKenzie will catch Clark with about 1 or 2 laps to go. That's sort of going to be it, as long as Norman doesn't make too many mistakes. The gap to the leader is 32 seconds, so Dyson is in a very comfortable spot now. Unless one of his tyres blows, he's going to be in a position where he can get this victory.
And I think he's got the luxury of being able to fuel save as well, which I think he's obviously doing at the moment. Just to make sure he can get home with a no-stop strategy.
Yeah, I think it was just, you probably only need to do about a lap of fuel saving to get it home, in all honesty, so it's not going to be much of a problem to get it home on the full tank of, well, on 1 tank of gas. It's just going to be those tyres are going to be a little bit worse for wear, so we'll keep our eyes on those battles as they come up. Looking between Darren McKenzie and Jai Schultz. Darren McKenzie, he stopped a little bit earlier. Jai Schultz has got much fresher tyres, but can't close up on Darren McKenzie. McKenzie doing another stellar job on the road courses here, chasing down Norman Clark. He's got about 4 seconds to make up. Last time around, 20.4, 21.2 for Norman Clark. So to keep our eyes on the lap times, it is relatively close between these two with 12 laps to go. It's going to be a fairly close finish. This time around, Norman Clark sets a, this is last lap time, 20.9. Darren McKenzie was a 20.3. So the tyres are starting to plateau for those guys that came in for their stops. So Norman doing a great job of keeping those tyres cool and keeping himself running in a good direction as well. Battle between two guys that haven't stopped yet as well, Christopher Tomlin and Brad Fenley. They're battling it out for 13th and 14th spot. Fenley's got some good pace in the Aussie beer motorsport car. Not everybody's favourite Victoria Vita, but not everybody's favourite drink, but one of our favourite drivers, Brad Fenley, having a good run out there at the moment in the 20. Michael Campbell as well, he's managed to gain up some positions after that early spin by not stopping. So he's having a solid run after a solid recovery, I should say, after that spin coming through turn number 11. And he could be finding himself on for a fairly decent result here tonight.
Indeed, indeed. I was having a bit of a yarn to you there, Carl, and I have my microphone on mute, so yeah.
You're just sitting there thinking, why is Carl talking over the top of me? Why is he being so rude?
Yeah, no, it's fine, it's fine. I can't even remember what I was talking about now, so. But yeah,
just looking
at that VB car again, yeah, it's a nice looking car, if you like your VB.
Yeah, I don't know who likes VB. There must be somebody. Just looking down the field, Luke Georgeson's come in for for his first stop, so he's decided to pull it in now as he gets some fresh tyres, as Lachlan Urquhart has had a bit of a moment again, as he has just come out side by side with Georgeson, and I think he's just... What did I say at the start of the broadcast, Matt? Watch out for cars X'd in pit lane. And this is exactly what's happened to the 42. Georgeson X'd in pit lane, just keeping himself to the inside lane there, and then it looks very much like netcode contact between those two cars, because they were not close to each other, unfortunately. And it's just unsettled Equio, and he's gone flying across the dirt over into the wall. And that is night done for the 42 after showing some good pace in the early stages.
Yeah, it's another bad bit of netcode, isn't it?
Yeah, that was, no fault to either driver in that circumstance. It just, unfortunately, the gods of netcode did not want to play a game there.
Yeah.
So that will make our first retirement for the night in Lachlan Urquhart.
It will. If they could just work on fixing the netcode rather than the rain, that would be nice.
Yep.
Yeah. Fix the netcode first, then maybe bring in the rain.
It's always a tricky thing getting those to work properly.
The front of Dyson's car looks a bit more mangled too, by the way. I think he might have clipped the wall again at some point. But, not showing any incident points for him, I don't think, so yeah.
Okay. So the battle is closing up for P3 now. It is going to start heating up, but Mackenzie and Schultz are closing up to Norman Clark. They're all setting relatively similar lap times, but Norman Clark is on some very old tyres. He's keeping them alive, though, and he's keeping that car getting at some pace. What he wants to see in these mirrors are these two drivers battling it out with each other.
Yeah, he wants to see them hold each other up, and so he can just skip away a few more seconds. Norman's just doing really consistent, nice laps, in the 121 range. Just punching them out every lap. The tyres look like they've equalled out for everybody else, so they're sort of, only about maybe at best half a second quicker in lap time. And Norman's still got 2.2 seconds to play with on them.
Yeah, that's it. He's got some good pace out there, as I just noticed. Luke Georgeson as well. He's had to pull the car behind the wall. So we've lost Georgeson and Urquhart from this race. Mackenzie and Schultzo is the real battle on track. These two are fighting it out for P4 at the moment. It could become P3, but the more they battle, the more chance it gives to Norman Clark, as Jai Schultz is on the fresher boots by a good 4 so laps over Darren McKenzie and, well, 20 odd laps over Norman Clark. So it's going to be interesting to see how these guys manage to go. How much can Clark defend? How much time can McKenzie and Schultz make on them? So this is really the main battle on track, as we've got 7 laps remaining here for round number 3 of Series 2 of the 2023 ANZCAR Thunder.
I think Norman, yeah, has a really good chance of holding on. I mean, he may not be able to hold these two here off, but, you know, Andy Barber's another, I want to say 6 seconds down the road. So he's, you know, Norman's a really good chance of getting a top 5 finish out of this.
Absolutely, and well, he started down in P11, so he's going to make up some good spots in this race. One of the biggest movers as if he finishes in this position. As
Jason Martin's just had a bit of a tour of the grass.
Ooh, yes,
Bit of a
and that's
mow of the
really,
lawn.
that was a chance to make the run up. He's doing a bit of a Tony Kanaan moment, isn't he? Really. That was an interesting pass for TK at the Indy 500. I've not seen many people pass on the grass at the 500 and managed to keep the car pointing in the right direction, but the wily veteran Tony Kanaan did manage it. As you see, Jason Martin's now got Maddie Ray for company as well, and Jason Martin's, well, his Series 2 of Thunder is continuing to go down the hill at the moment, as he's battling it out here. And,
yeah. He's really struggling with those tyres, I think.
Yeah, they've fallen off the cliff.
He's done 17 laps on them. So yeah, he's, I think 19 laps is the longest stint this time around, which is McKenzie. Obviously there's a couple of no stoppers, but yeah. So I think he's heated them up too much.
That's it. I was going to say it's all down to the thermal. It's all down to the heat. Who can keep those tyres relatively cool is the ones that are going to make a good run here tonight. And after that little slide, he's just heated up those tyres, and then he's got locked onto the brakes as well. And that's going to get more heat into them. And for the next 3 or 4 laps, Jason's going to be sitting there being pretty miserable. And when the tyres have done more laps as well, they get hotter quicker as well. So there's all these things playing against him at the moment. As Darren McKenzie and Jai Schultz starting to battle it out again, as McKenzie gets sideways coming out of turn number 11, keeps himself ahead of Jai for the time being. They're still trying to close the gap to Norman, but they're just not quite making it there. They're still just, well, they're actually slower last time around than Norman Clark. So Norman doing a great job on those old boots, having a fantastic run up in the front of the field. But Darren McKenzie and Jai Schultz are determined to try and snatch that position away from him. With 5 laps to go, though, it is very, very close. I think that battle's going to be very tight. Andy Barber as well, he's closing this gap as well. 3 seconds to catch the back of McKenzie and Schultz. So we've seen Barber having some good runs here tonight, and he could easily close the gap and find himself on the back of this little fight. So let's run through the order while we've got a little bit of a lull. So we've lost Luke Georgeson and Lachlan Urquio from the race. Sean Takei is next up in the American Honey Wild Turkey car, sitting in 18th position at the moment, missing the front end of that car, not having the best run, but he's keeping it on track. He's going to score some points, and that's always crucial in a championship. Tristan Koch next up the line in 17th spot, having a solid run, just keeping himself out of trouble and keep himself inside the top 20. Kobe Jordan having a good run in 16th position. He started the race down in 21st, so he's having a good run up the field. He's trying to chase down Michael Campbell, who we saw having a bit of a spin in the start of the race, but it's coming back to him now as he's getting along as one of those other drivers that has not yet made a pit stop. Gary Wellman, we saw him have a little bit of a moment, and he's dropped off a little bit of pace. He's still up 3 positions in 14th spot from where he started, but he's got Michael Campbell all over the back of him. He's going to hope that those fresher tyres can help him out. Brad Fenley is one of the other runners that hasn't made a pit stop. He is battling with Christopher Tomlin at the moment for 12th and 13th position, as Andrew Dyson is siding his way through to get some laps done on these drivers as they start falling down a lap here. Dyson makes his way through. Jason Martin sits in 11th position, not the night that he would have wanted. It's not been the best run here at Sonoma for Jason Martin. He's hoping his championship can start to have a turnaround soon because his defence is not going how he wanted it to. Matty Ray sits in 10th position. Not a road course specialist by his own words, but having a very solid run here tonight in the Mobile Braking Mechanical SRM car. He's sitting behind his teammate Ruben Phelps in 9th position. The Flying Kiwi is fast on any kind of circuit, but having a solid run here tonight inside the top 10. Luke Crum is really coming along nicely in the series. He's battling with Josh Micklemore at the moment. These two battling for 8th and 7th position. And you've got to say he's putting the pressure on this man, Josh Micklemore, for Mitch Motorsport. Josh has started 7th. He's been sitting 7th for this whole race. I'm sure he would be happy if he could finish there at the end of tonight. Andy Barber is closing the gap up the front, down to a couple of seconds behind Jai Schultz. A nice run from Andy Barber, as Darren McKenzie now sits in P5 as Jai Schultz has made the move on him. Just going back to have a little bit of a look at that. So they lost a bit of time there, as McKenzie ran wide in turn number 11, and that gave Jai Schultz the opportunity to get past him up into 4th place.
Yeah, they look like they're all struggling with tyres a bit. Darren was looking like he's really struggling with that tyre heat. And Norman's just punching along.
Jai's on some of the fresher boots out there, so this is going to give him an opportunity. He's now trying to catch Norman Clark. Norman started down in 11th spot. He's running in 3rd at the moment. He's not yet made a pit stop and is taking advantage of those fresh tyres. Last time around, Norman Clark's lap time was a 21.1. Whereas Jai Schultz was a 20.2, so Jai's got some pace in that car. He's kept those tyres alive for this final part of the race. But catching is one thing, passing is another. It's Ryan Jones, our P2 man, the man that always likes to finish second. He's currently sitting in second in the championship, second in the race, and second here tonight, what he always loves. As Darren McKenzie just loses a position to Andy Barber. Andy Barber charging along now. And looks like Darren McKenzie's tyres have just dropped off the cliff, as nice work there from Andy Barber. And finally, for our rundown tonight, it is the leader, the man that hasn't made a pit stop yet. He's got 28 seconds in the hand. It is Andrew Dyson for DPR, having a solid run here tonight at Sonoma. So, 2 laps remaining. We are very much getting to the final stages of this race. I think this is going to be the battle we'll need to keep our eyes on. Norman Clark, Jai Schultz, the battle for the final step of the podium. I'm sure there's going to be people cheering along for both camps. Of course, no bias up here in the commentary booth, but it would be nice to see Norman Clark get a podium here tonight. But he's going to have to do a lot of defending against Jai Schultz, who's got some seriously good pace in that car on those fresher boots. He is going to be really putting the pressure on the wily veteran from South Africa, Norman Clark.
Yeah, and I think Norman's actually closing in on 400 starts too. If it's not tonight, it might be tomorrow night, or within the next week. I think he's going to be on 400 starts. It's getting close.
Getting very close. Yeah.
He'll be the second competitor to hit 400 starts for the league.
My word. Just gonna have a look now.
Yeah, I want to have a look myself, but if I do it, it'll probably open up on the wrong screen over the broadcast. So.
Yeah.
Just keep an eye on Dyson as well.
Well, he's over 400. He's 404.
404.
Yes. As they make a move, Jai Schultz down the inside here at turn number 11, and it looks like he might have the spot. He does indeed. With 1 lap remaining, Jai Schultz works his way up back onto the podium. As Andrew Dyson is going to be bringing it home in some style. He is absolutely lighting up those rear tyres. If we had doubt that he had anything left, well, he's putting that to best now as he drifts it home here tonight and is celebrating before he gets to the line. Now, of course, could easily make a mistake here and cost himself the race.
It's one of those days. It's gonna, yeah. I think he said himself one of these days he's going to get caught out by it, but not today.
Not tonight. Almost. As Brad Fenley makes a big move on Christopher Tomlin, doesn't quite make it work. Good little try by Brad Fenley there on Tomlin, but Dyson brings it home. As Dyson brings it home and gets victory here at Sonoma. As Ryan Jones will bring it home in P2. As Ryan Jones gets the second spot here tonight. And it's going to be Jai Schultz who will bring it home in third position. Just 1 point ahead of Norman Clark, the man that did a fantastic run tonight with his strategy and bringing it home into that position. A little bit further back, Josh Micklemore and Luke Crum have a little bit of contact coming into the final corner. And looks like Luke's letting that readdress. Very sportsmanlike by Luke Crum there with Josh Micklemore.
Oh, Luke's dived on the inside, then locked up the tyres there and spun Josh out. But yeah, decided to redress.
Yeah, very, very nice there by Luke Crum. That was a very classy move by him.
Sean's the only one still circulating at the moment, still yet to cross the finish line. He must have been just in front of Andrew Dyson when he hit the finish line. And,
as Sean brings it across the line and gets P18. Okay, let's run through the results of tonight's race. So, taking victory here tonight was Andrew Dyson, just ahead of Ryan Jones in second place. Where they started, they finished, those two. Jai Schultz makes it up 1 spot in the race to get the final step of the podium. Another solid result for Jai Schultz. We've seen him having some good runs this season in ANZCAR, and he's going to be very happy with another podium next to his name. It's Norman Clark up 7 positions, the biggest mover of tonight, getting himself into P4. A very solid run there for the veteran, up in 4th position. Andy Barber brings it home in 5th position. It was a big, tough night for him, but he managed to bring it back to where he started. Darren McKenzie comes home in 6th spot. A nice run from Darren, but his tyres dropped off at the end. Josh Micklemore comes home 7th after a little bit of contact with Luke Crum. Luke Crum doing the very honourable thing of letting that position go back to Joshy there in P8 for Luke Crum. Ruben Phelps brings it home 9th with the SRM team coming home in 9th and 10th spot with Maddie Ray. Jason Martin brings it home 11th with Christopher Tomlin in 12th. Another big mover up 7 spots for Christopher Tomlin. Brad Fenley in 13th position. We saw those two having an epic battle at the end. Gary Wellman brings it home 14th. 15th for Michael Campbell. Great recovery from him, up 5 spots after that mistake in the early stages. Kobe Jordan comes home 16th. Tristan Koch 17th. 18th for Sean Decay. Lachlan Oakville 19th. Luke Georgeson in 20th. And that's the end of our finishers. For people that started the race, a very solid run there from everybody, Matt.
that was pretty much what we sort of expected. Certainly up the front, but during the pack, that was really, really good to see lots of different battles there, and quite interesting to see a few people who, like Andy Barber, for example, who finished exactly where they started, but they they took the hard way to get there, basically.
They did indeed. There was a lot of work in that car to get the finish. So what we'll do is we'll bring up our 3rd place finisher. It is Jai Schultz in the 27. Jai, welcome back to the booth, mate. Congratulations on a solid P3 here at Sonoma.
Cheers. Tough race. My arms are definitely a bit sore.
I can imagine, indeed. Well, it was a very hard-fought P3. It was looking like you may have had to settle for 5th a little bit earlier in about 4 or 5 laps before the finish. But you had a really good run. Once you got past Darren McKenzie, it was almost like the cork had been popped off your bottle.
Yeah, no, it was a good battle with D-Mac. It was a bit unfortunate. I think he may have got a bit of wheel hop into that last corner, but managed to get past him and then get Norman with 1 to go.
Oh, absolutely. And look, it was a good battle at the end. We saw you getting that good run. Obviously, some fresher tyres for yourself. Looked like they made just a little bit of a difference at the end of the race.
Yeah, definitely. I didn't think I could do the whole race with like the fuel save and the one set of tyres. So I thought personally it would be a little bit quicker to do the one stop from where I was sitting. So yeah, kind of penciled that in quite early and stuck to the plan, and yeah, seemed to work out.
No, absolutely. I mean, you sort of stayed out a little bit longer than many other cars out there, of course. Did you sort of did that sort of bother you a little bit? Were you thinking, oh, should I have come in a little bit earlier just so I didn't lose as many spots, or do you think that was absolutely the right call?
I think it was the right call at the end of it. Obviously, sitting in third, it's pretty easy to say it, but no, DMAC pitted. I think he was the first one to pit. So I was keeping an eye on kind of where he popped out and the traffic that he was sitting in, and yeah, tried to kind of work out my pit stop and like to pop out kind of in a bit of clean air, and yeah, popped out I think behind a couple of cars, and yeah, kind of avoided that big pack further down the field in that first round of pit stops, and yeah, didn't kind of have to put myself into that traffic.
Absolutely, a very good call at the end as well for that stop, and well, a very good drive at the end of the race as well. Look, fantastic run from yourself tonight. Obviously, on paper it doesn't look that good. You only made up the one position, but we saw you having to fight throughout the race. Congratulations on podium here tonight at Sonoma, mate. Before I let you go, the usual thing, the love for shout out to sponsors and fans.
Yeah, cheers. Just yeah, you guys up in the booth doing this every week. So good to go back and watch. Also, Inside Lane Sim Sports and LCR, On Track Ag, Staunch Bull Bars, JTH Signs, JDRF, New Holland, Diabetes Australia, H&M Mechanical, Matt's Car Care, and I think I've got them all.
Congratulations, Jai. Well done indeed, and I'm sure we'll see you back in the booth in the near future, mate.
Cheers, boys.
Jai Schultz coming home in P3. Next up, it's the man that always comes second. Well, maybe if he can actually drag him up there. There we go. It's the man that always finishes second, Mr. Ryan Jones. Welcome back to the booth, mate. It's good to see you back on form here at P2 at Sonoma.
Yeah, look, I don't think there's a single person in ANZCAR that can beat Dyson in a straight final on a road course on his own song. So I'll take P2, best of the rest, boys.
Well, that's it. I mean, you came home P2 tonight, but you technically won it. I mean, we don't count Dyson in these races because we know he's too good. So
yeah. I was happy to lead a lap though. Obviously, I knew I'm not going to win tonight, so I'm thinking about the championship fight. I want to put together another season because I've only done one full season in 5 years, and I almost won it. So I'm going to try it again this season in Trucks and Thunder. So I got that extra point for leading the lap, which was important. And then, yeah, obviously Dyson got by, which was an inevitability.
it was, but at the start, you had a fantastic leap and you really put the pressure on him.
Yeah, it surprised me a little bit. I don't know if Dyson sort of let me go just to have a race or what, or whether he just fumbled to start. But yeah, I got out in front and then sort of deployed the anchors a little bit, sort of underdrove the car and took some defensive lines to see how long I could hold him off for. But then, yeah, I think I fired it pretty wide at that second last corner, and it wasn't worth fighting from there.
Absolutely. We just saw it was the tiniest little mistake, but that's all it takes when you're racing against Dyson on a road course, I guess.
Oh, yeah. And my bumper was starting to feel pretty worn out too. So, but I was looking back at Jai and Darren and all them, and they weren't too far away at that point. So I wasn't too unhappy to settle in behind him and start to stretch a gap again.
Absolutely, and that gap did pay off at the end. We saw you coming down pit lane, getting some fresh boots. Did you have the thought of sticking it out there, just trying to go without stopping?
I hadn't even thought about it. No, it never crossed my mind once. But evidently it was a good option for Dyson.
Yeah, I mean, I think only 2 people really made it work perfectly, but a few people did manage it quite well. So it was an option, but I think you had a good run there at the end, and you managed to bring that gap down as well. All importantly, but championship-wise, we know you're sitting second in a championship at the moment. This is going to be a good result there because all it takes is one bad round for Dyson, and you could easily find yourself up there.
Yeah, 100%. And I think Joshy was third in the points coming in, and he didn't have too good of a race. So Well, he came 7th. That's right. So it was all about getting as many points as I could, and that lap lead was important. I feel like I can match Dyson if I nail everything and make no mistakes on the ovals. So it's easier said than done, but I'm keen to have a little fight with him this season in trucks and Thunder. First and second in both championships after 3 rounds.
Absolutely. It's good to see. Look, fingers crossed for the rest of the season, Ryan. Hopefully, we're going to see you topple Dyson. Not that we have any bias in the commentary booth, but look, good luck for the rest of the season, mate. But congratulations on P2 tonight here at Sonoma. Before I let you go, the usual thing, love for shout outs, go for it.
Big shout out you boys. Put on the show as always. Always fun to go back and have a listen. I want to give a big shout out to Mr. Sean Doiki. Sean.
Yeah, none of us can pronounce it. It's all right.
Is running the Thunder series. He's doing an awesome job. All the stats and stuff and graphics he posts up every race. Pretty cool. So big up Sean and Mum, of course, watching on all the time.
Awesome stuff, Ryan. Congratulations tonight, and I'm sure we'll see you back in the booth in the near future, mate.
Cheers, boys.
Ryan Jones, oddly happy about P2 here tonight, but he had a solid run out there.
Weirdly happy, yeah.
I didn't know what to do. It threw me off completely. And finally, we will bring up our race winner for DPR. It is the 41. It's Mr. Andrew Dyson. Dyso, welcome back to the booth, mate. Congratulations on victory here at Sonoma.
Hey guys, thanks, man.
Well, it was a solid run here at Sonoma, but at the start, Ryan had you covered.
Well, he did. He won the start, which is fair enough, and then he played a bit of a no, you shall not pass game. So that was pretty fun for a bit there. If he just had not had that little slide, I would have been stuck there for a few more laps, I reckon, or who knows how long he could keep it up. But if he just kept doing what he was doing, yeah, he wouldn't have made it easy to pass. So that was fun.
Oh, absolutely. And we saw that all it took was that minor mistake he made on coming into turn 11, and you just pounced straight away.
Yeah, he went in a little bit deep and it was a little bit sideways, a little bit high and wide, and that just kind of gave me an opportunity to kind of just exit a bit shallow and accelerate up alongside him. And it was the way I went from there. And from that point on, I pretty much planned to do the opposite to everybody else. So if it looked like everyone was going to pit, which eventually they did, I decided to stay out. If it looked like everyone was going to try and go the whole way, then I was going to pit just to see what would happen. But yeah, ended up being that everyone pitted, so I stayed out.
Absolutely, and you made that long run work very well, even having enough tyres at the end to do a little bit of skidding.
Well, yeah, a bit of time, but I had a bit of time on my hands too. Not enough time though to not get in the way of Chris and Brad, who are in their own battle, and I wasn't really focusing on that. I had my hands full making pizzas, so I wasn't really watching what happened. I nearly got in their way, but that was a bit of fun.
One of these days, it's going to bite you.
Well, yeah, probably one day, man. Yeah, it's actually really nice to slide when all the tires are kind of worn out. It's much nicer to slide than when you've got all brand new tires on, because you end up with a big difference between front and rear tire grip, and plus the rear grip goes away really rapidly. Like it starts off awesome, then it goes away really good. Whereas when the tires are really old, that doesn't happen as much, or it's not as significant anyway.
No, absolutely, you made it work. I mean, look, tonight you always have good pace on the road courses. We know that's always going to be the fact, but you didn't lap the entire field. We're finding that people are just starting to close the gap on you a bit nowadays.
Oh, always, man. There's always plenty of people getting good. I was just talking to the boys before. Like, there's guys that haven't shown up tonight that have always, been creeping up and getting a lot better. And so, there's plenty of dudes to keep an eye out for. And there's guys that haven't rolled up that are much better than me at some stuff too. So, yeah, just got to keep me on my toes, I guess, when they do roll up. That's for sure.
Absolutely. We like seeing, look, the main thing about having somebody that is very, very quick is people tend to watch what they do and then start improving themselves. And we've seen that on the road courses in all of ANZCAR. So a big thank you for making people improve that a little bit. It's always nice to see that happening. Obviously, we're not too far into the championship, but you are leading at the moment and you're just ahead of Ryan Jones. So looks like it's going to be a battle between yourself, Ryan, and Josh Micklemore at the moment. How are you feeling going into that fight?
I wasn't really thinking too much about it. I was taking one race at a time and do the best I can, sort of thing. Same with everything. I understand this is a little bit different, these sort of championships, because there is no chase or anything like that. You just kind of go out and it's your best 12 races, I think. I don't know if there's drop races or not, but just kind of go out and do the best you can and race by race and just see what happens. So I decided to jump in because I jumped in like one truck race last season. First lap or second lap, got in a wreck. 40 laps later, got in a wreck, probably with the same two people, I think it was. And I thought, geez, I can't do this. So I stopped rolling up, sending truck races and Xfinity races because I didn't just want to roll in halfway through these guys or those guys' championships and ruin them. So I thought if I'm going to roll up to some races, I may as well do all 12, and that's what I decided I'm going to try and do.
No, look, we look forward to seeing how this season goes. Good luck for the rest of the championship, Daiso. But for tonight, congratulations here at Sonoma. Before I let you go, the usual thing, the love, the shout out, go for it.
Well, thanks everyone for coming out for a race, and thanks to you guys for putting this all together at ANZCAR, as always. Yeah, thanks to all the boys at DPR and Simrigs and South Wales, Benmax, all those cool folks. And yeah, looking forward to tomorrow night. I can't remember what track it is now. It's Worldwide. So yeah, that's a cool track. I don't mind that one, so it should be fun.
Absolutely. We'll see you tomorrow night for the Cup, Daiso. Well done tonight, and I'm sure we'll see you back in the booth soon.
Fingers crossed, mate. See you later.
Andrew Dyson there for DPR taking victory here tonight at Sonoma. Well, Matt, we've got a bit of an announcement tonight.
We have indeed. Did you?
I'll go for it if you like. So we are going to be taking a bit of a step back on broadcasting with the trucks and the Xfinity for the Thunder, begrudgingly. We do love bringing you the Thunder week in and week out because there is such good racing. But unfortunately, our social lives and our time in general is starting to get cut a little bit short. So we are going to be looking at reducing our workload a little bit. And unfortunately, that does mean reducing the Thunder and the truck coverage, respectively. So with ourselves and, of course, Mark Johansson at Checkered Flag eStreaming, we're going to be just doing a little bit less work on the trucks and the Xfinity. That doesn't mean we're stopping broadcasting, though. We're still going to be broadcasting the Cup races. And, of course, the Australasian Supercar E-Series and Weekend Warriors will be broadcast as well. But we all need just a little bit more time in our social lives and possibly a little bit of a chance to race as well, as currently doing about 8 to 12 hours a week of broadcasting. We really do not have much time to get into the seats, unfortunately. So it's just going to give us a little bit more time to get into the seats, also to do our sort of regular life stuff as well, be it the usual things of trying to get ourselves healthy and things like that. So we appreciate you all for watching. We appreciate you. We've loved doing this, but we just need to take a little bit of a step back. However, we are looking at doing some highlight packages, Matt.
Yeah, so we're expecting to upload every week probably 2 videos. There'll probably be the full race version of the race, which will have scoring and data on it and sort of cameras set on automatically. There won't be any commentary. But we're also looking into obviously having a short, 15, 20-minute highlight video as well. Just to make it quick, just so people can catch up on it and stuff. But yeah, we just need to take a little bit of a step back, and we might possibly see myself and Carl actually roll out in the car for a bit of a drive, and we might even, I think we're thinking about, if we start getting down to the end of the championship, sort of, and it's close, better, we might look at doing a couple of final races or something. But yeah, we just step back a little bit and just reassess.
Absolutely, and look, we might even try and get a couple of on-board footages from some of those races. See how Matt does in them, of course. But it's going to be fun, just changing it up a little bit. We're hoping the highlight packages as well will help just grow the channel a little bit too. Hopefully, bring in some subscribers just to help bolster up the views everybody is getting. So a big thank you to everybody for watching us in this series. Of course, we're not stepping away completely. As I said, we'll be back tomorrow night for the Cup, but with the Thunder, this will be the sort of final broadcast for the time being. So a big thank you to everybody for all the hard work, and a big thank you to Mr. Matt Hunter as well, because he is the one that does all the hard work in the booth. I just chat away. So we look forward to seeing you very shortly for the Cup, but for Thunder, we'll be wrapping up here, and we will be bringing you highlight packages in the near future.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the only thing that's going to really change is there's not going to be any sort of live race coverage. It'll be sort of more of an upload video to watch sort of thing on YouTube, and I'll have a look at the Facebook side of it as well, if we can upload from there or not.
Yeah, that's it. We'll be tweaking things around a little bit for the future. But for tonight, we will wrap up here, and we can head off and actually go get some sleep now, Matt.
Indeed, indeed.